Okay. All right. So I think we're streaming also on Facebook. Okay. So a couple of house rules before we start. So um please remember to please mute yourselves all the time except when asking questions, of course. Of course, you've met our speaker. So, Mr. Carl Alarcon. Let me just pull up the. Let's see here. I'll just auto mute everyone first before we start. Okay, so welcome to our very first Cloud Kapihan session, and this is our second day, second week for the Kapihan session. And this week we will be discussing about app modernization to be led by our speaker, Sir Carl Alarcon. So first, I'd like to reintroduce to you who Apper is. Next slide, please. So Apper, we help businesses adopt on innovations on the cloud. So Apper basically breathe on the cloud. We know the ins and outs of the cloud. So we help businesses accelerate by applying new technologies such as mobile and web applications, digital transformation, and information security by complementing the business's team's expertise, IT team's expertise. Next, please. Apple is an AWS advanced consulting partner with collectively 60 plus cloud certifications spread across professional, specialty, associate, and practitioner. We believe that this is the most in the country. We're actually one of the top 10 managed partners of AWS in the region. Next, please. Mhm. So I'd like to introduce our speaker. If you were here last week, you probably and you probably met him more than once. So Carl is an experienced and passionate cloud engineer with a vast background in telco industry. And as a leader of Apper's enablement and innovations team of technology group, he is responsible for running R&D initiatives and cloud capability programs. He successfully delivered cloud capability programs for software engineering and machine learning engineering for customers like GCash and Globe Telecom. Recently, he's been very much involved in our cloud sessions for our public sector clients, so such as BIR, Pag-ibig, some schools, prestigious universities in the Philippines as well. And Carl holds the AWS Certified Security title, AWS Certified Developer title, Certified Kubernetes Application Developer, and AWS Certified Solutions Architect certifications. He is also a licensed electronics and communications engineer. Let's now give the floor to Carl Alarcon. Go ahead, Coach Carl.
Hi, afternoon. So thank you, Mr. Trish, for the introduction. So again, this is about the app modernization, and this is already the second session of our Cloud Kapihan sessions. So, but first, I see there we have some familiar names here on the meeting, and I also see some new names. So there, welcome to our Kapihan session, and hopefully you will be able to learn a lot from our session today. So our session we will cover about app modernization. So to start, let's first define what is modernization. So when we say the word modernization, what does it mean? So, or what do we think of when we hear of the word modernization? So anyone? So similar to our previous session, so I would like this session to be collaborative as well, and I would like some of the participation of our attendees here. So can you send in the chat what do you think when you hear the word modernization? So from Nino, He answered transformation. Yes, that's correct. Transformation from the old one to a new one. So that's transformation. Rebuilding. So according to Paul, it's about rebuilding. Yes, that's correct. So thank you for those insights. So when we say here of the word modernization, it means we are transforming something that is already present into something that is newer, right? So similar to our jeepneys, we have the jeepney modernization, where we replace the old design of jeepneys to newer technology or new design of jeepney. So on applications and platform, there's also modernization, where we use and leverage newer technologies to our advantage and to continue serving our application or to continue serving the business needs, right? So ayan, we have some insights here as well. They mentioned innovation and using of new technology. So those are all correct. So here we can see that when we say app modernization, customers demand a lot from digital apps and platforms these days. New features and capabilities, highly available, and security. So let's be honest that we as users also tend to see some future improvements whenever we use applications, right? So as users, we wish some new features. So I hope, uh, let's say, this platform will have this feature. So we tend to see that from time to time when we experience it. So even though we are the customers of applications and platforms, we always encounter a scenario where we see some possible enhancements or possible new feature that we need in the application. So to be able to solve that, uh, companies need to adapt to the changing landscape, especially now during pandemic. So the ability to adapt provides challenges to tech teams. So even though we as customers demand a lot of new features, it's a challenge for the tech teams to adapt to those requirements, to the customer's requirement. So of course, as technology goes further, so for example, when we go back to maybe around 5 years ago, so we can live with playing videos on YouTube that may take around or may have around 5 seconds of buffering or something like that. But now we want it to be seamless. So those are examples of improvements. So therefore, the tech team must be able to adapt to those challenges and be able to serve the needs of the customer. So to do that, they must modernize their application because even though we have newer technologies, their application may not be still leveraging newer technologies. So that's where modernization comes in. So the first thing to do on modernization is the term microservices. It's always related to modernization. So what is microservices ba? So when we say microservices, it's an architectural and organizational approach to software development where software is composed of small independent services that communicate over well-defined APIs. So take note, it is an architectural and organizational approach, not just in your tech stack itself. Your organization or your organizational setup must be set up for microservices environment as well. So later on we will cover that. Then part of microservices are loosely coupled independent services. From it means that every services, for example, we have an application, every function that we use, it must be loosely coupled from each other. So when we say loosely coupled, what does it mean? So loosely coupled means that one function does not depend on other function. If one function encounters a problem, the other function can still be able to continue its service. So that's loosely coupling. So in contrast to the previous design, which is tightly coupled application. So because before we used to have tightly coupled applications where applications are all located on one environment or one server, which is called the monolith. So now on microservices, we break them down and design them in such a way that they are loosely coupled from each other or they are independent of each other. Then part of microservices are autonomous and specialized. So the benefits include agility, scalability, ease of deployment, and tech freedom. So, and lastly, reusability. So meaning when we adapt into the microservices design or approach, so our system can be autonomous and specialized. So which means that it's easy to scale and it's easy to deploy the applications, your application, and you have tech freedom. So which means that you can easily, for example, if you use a cloud first design or cloud native design, you can leverage different cloud service providers and other technologies. So in a way, you can lessen the dependency on your provider. So, and also you can reuse it to be able to apply it on other tech stacks or other cloud service provider or other environments as well. So this is the example as seen on the picture. So on the left, this is the old design, which is a monolith environment. So in the monolith environment, you can see that all of the services, so your users, your threads, or your posts that's on your application. So let's say this is a social media platform. So your users, threads, and posts are all inside one server. That's why it's called monolith. When you hear the word mono, it stands for one, right? So they are all inside one server. So, but on the microservices approach, this is the newer approach or the modern approach, you have different services from each for each function. So you have the user service, you have the thread service, you have the post service. So what's the advantage of breaking it down into microservices? So let's tackle that. So let's say, let's have an example of an office building. So inside an office, you have all of the branches of the business. So inside one office, let's say it's Google, you have Google Search, you have Gmail, you have Google Drive, and you have Google Photos, all inside the same building. So what do you think is the problem here? So this presents a problem that, let's say, this building encounters an issue. Let's say there was a calamity in the building. Let's say there was flooding in the building, or there is no power or power supply in the building. There was a power interruption. So that means everything will fail, right? So even workers for these services, so even the employees cannot go to this office if there was, let's say, a flood or calamity. So all of them will be unavailable. But if we break down these offices into different buildings, we distribute them, we separate them. So you separate the building for Google Search, for Gmail, Google Drive, and Google Photos. What happens is you present more options. So meaning, for example, if the building of Google Search is the one who encountered a calamity, or there was a power interruption for Google Search, Gmail, Google Drive, and Google Photos will still work. They are still available because it's only Google Search who is affected. So similarly, if we have a problem on the Gmail office, so let's say on the Gmail office, there was a power interruption again, or there was a security problem on their office. So then Google Search, Google Drive, and Google Photos will still work. So that's the advantage of having distributed office over a centralized office building. So similarly, when we translate this to application, that's also similar to monolith and microservices. The one where you have your office all inside the building is called a monolith environment, so, or a monolith design. So for example, your social media platforms, it has login, uploading of photos, chat, or messaging, and log out. They are all inside one server. That's a monolith environment or a monolithic approach. But if we translate to the modern approach, which is a microservices approach, so what you will do is you separate each function into different services. You have login service, you have upload photo service, you have chat service, and you have logout service. So when we go back to the definition earlier, when we say microservices, so let me go back here. It says here that it includes benefits for agility, scalability, ease of deployment, tech freedom, and reusability. But aside from that, so let's discuss those. Agility, uh, scalability. So it says that it has benefits on agility because you can reduce the time to market for every uh, function that you have. Let's say you have updates for login only, then you can easily roll out new feature for login. Unlike with the monolith environment, if you need or if you want to release a new feature for login, you will have to consider uh, other services on the monolith environment as well. So you need to consider that their interdependencies. So if the new login will still uh, be able to work with the all the upload photos or other things. So that's why you need to loosely couple them, that they are not dependent of each other. So they are independent of each other. So in a way, you can easily roll out new features so you can reduce your time to market. So for example, you have updates for login. So you can roll out and reduce the you will have reduced time to market as compared to the monolithic approach. So that's for agility. Then as for scalability, so let's say during holidays. So during holidays, right, the social media platforms are very busy. More and more users are uploading photos. So during holidays, let's say during Christmas, it's sure that there will be a lot of users that will upload Christmas photos, right? So that's why you need to scale your application because there's higher traffic. So if there's a higher traffic, then you need to scale your application. On the monolith environment, you will need to scale everything in that scenario, even though you only need to increase your traffic capacity for uploading photos. But since this is a monolithic environment, you will need to upload to increase or scale everything. But on the microservices approach, what you can do, since they are separate services from each other, if upload photos has a higher demand for traffic, then you can scale upload photos only. Then you can retain login, chat, and logout on the same size. So similarly, if the traffic for upload photos decreases, then you can now scale down upload photos. So that's the advantage of it. Then when we say most of the time, whenever companies adapt to microservices, then they will start to use containerized applications. So instead of using virtual machines or VMs, they will now adapt or they will now use containerized applications or they will now use containers. From VM, they will use containers. And normally, this is a path where people or companies migrate from on-premise to the cloud. So as we discussed last session, it's about migration. So the first strategy for migration is lift and shift, remember? So you lift or you transfer from on-premise data center to the cloud. Then now you also have options to refactor. So when you refactor, you change your application from monolith to microservices. So that's an example of refactoring. So that's a strategy. So that's the next step towards modernization of application. You start with migration from on-premise data center to transfer to the cloud. Then from cloud, if you were able to transfer to the cloud, you go to the next step, which is modernization, which is changing your application into microservices. So in that way, you will leverage fully the advantages of cloud computing, the scalability and cost optimization or cost efficiency. So, and other advantages or features of the cloud. So that's why it's very important to adopt or to use to do modernization on your applications and platforms. So for example, I have here. So this is an example microservices architecture. Let's say we have a ride sharing application. So you can see they have different services. So for drivers, of course, for a ride sharing application, drivers have separate applications than passengers, right? So then you also have different service for trips. Then for trip manager and monitoring, you also have different service. So for presenting the data to the business team, you also have different services. So this is an example of having a microservice approach on your architecture. Then aside from just having your application adopt a microservices approach, you need also to adapt your organization or to modernize the setup of your organization. Meaning, you will have to distribute your team from a centralized to being distributed as well. So some of your team may need to specialize on the service, for example, on the login. Some of your team, you will need to assign them for upload photos. So some of your team, you will need to assign them for the logout or for the chat. So that's also part of modernization, not just your application, but also your tech team. So why do we need to do that? Because according to Conway's law, it is an adage stating that organizations design systems that mirror their own communication structure. It is named after computer programmer Melvin Conway, who introduced the idea in 1967. So meaning, ang sinasabi ni Conway is organizations design mirror their or how their people communicate or how their organizational structure is. So meaning, if you have a monolithic environment, your structure will be monolithic. If you have a microservices approach, your organization must also be designed in a structure that is for microservices. So any organization that designs a system will produce a design whose structure is a copy of the organization's communication structure. Because if we don't adapt our organizational structure to become a microservices as well, or to act as a microservice approach, or to adapt to the microservices approach, then you will go back to the practice wherein you will be communicating in a monolith environment or monolithic setup. So that's why even your tech organization should also adopt a microservices structure. So for this example, you have team for engineering and for web and mobile. Then you have team for search API, for invoice, for property. So in a way, your people will be more specialized on their task. So they will be more that's also another advantage is people will be more focused on their assigned service. So that means that they will learn it deeply and they will understand it in a much deeper sense. So that's why whenever we do app modernization, we always need to follow that with our organizational structure as well, to adapt or to follow your app modernization. So you need to do it in parallel as well. So what are the key takeaways for this? First is microservices architecture is required to adapt to customer needs. So if you use microservices architecture, you can protect against unauthorized use, DDoS, and other malicious actors. So, but don't get me wrong, you can also do that on a monolith environment, but you can just easily adapt, or you can adapt to it more if you use microservices approach. Okay. Then you can also do data at rest and data in transit protection for every service, and you will need to define API. You will need to have well-defined APIs for your services to communicate with each other and protect it. Then organization and capability of tech teams need to reflect the architecture and build in-house cloud native capabilities. So on app modernization, it is very important to have cloud native capabilities if you decide to, let's say, for example, containerize your applications or use serverless technologies. Yeah, so they are called cloud native capabilities such as Kubernetes, containerization, or sometimes they refer to it as Docker, uh, and other cloud native capabilities as well. Then always remember that modernization is a journey. So experienced partner working together is key to app modernization. So it's not a quick process, rather it's a journey wherein you continuously adapt to the new features that are present in our technology today. And also in a way, because of that journey, you will be able to protect your application or your platform from being future proof. So you can make your application and your platform future proof with that journey. So modernization requires expertise and experience to execute properly. So with that, you can work with us to start and accelerate your journey on towards app modernization. So with that, do you have any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Uh, Question po,
sure.
is the microservices applicable for both front end and back end services? As in lahat ng services kasama siya. Pwede siyang i-apply?
Hello. And can you hear me? So is microservices approach applicable for both front end and back end? So as you can see from the diagram before, you will need to set, for example, the ride sharing application. You have passengers, you have drivers, you have trips. Of course, you need different front end for the passenger. You need different front end for the driver. You need different front end for the trips. So that's applicable to both.
Okay, sir. Thank you po.
Thank you, Paul. Any more questions? You may send in your questions in the chat or DM me or Carl if you're on the shy side. So, yeah. Para naman kayong mag-PM for questions.
Any other questions?
Mm.
Hi,
Hmm.
hello. Yeah, I have a
Yes.
question now. It's
Mhm.
Micah.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you think it will work if there's a hybrid type? Meron kang monolith and you have also microservices. Like, which benefit the most kung parehas silang pwedeng gawin? Like, which type of business, ganun.
Sorry, Micah, can you please clarify more
Okay, sige.
on having both? Because when you say
Yeah,
monolith, it means that all part of your application are on it. So,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so for this one, on the business part lang siguro, I would like to ask if do you think it's also possible to combine a monolith structure and a microservice structure? Parang do you think
Mm.
may mag-work na ganon, or do you really prefer as of today the microservices works more?
Uh, when you mean to work together, do they serve the same feature or the same function?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so with that in mind, this is my take on it. Since your microservices environment is already ready, and as long as it is stable and uh, working well on the design and it's working as expected, then it can already accommodate the traffic or your whole application. So there's no need to make them work together if your new design is already up and running. Unless they serve different features. So, but if they are serving the same function, if they are serving the same traffic, then it's like for me, it appears that that's already a transition or a deployment from the old environment to the new environment. So you already transitioned from having monolithic to a microservices environment.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Any other questions? Mukhang naghihiya ang mga to, Miss Trish. Tayo kaya yung magtanong.
Parang last time, hindi sila nahiya you can send in your questions via DM naman.
Yep. Parang may nakikita ako nag-unmute kanina.
Sino ba? About hindi naman natin sila pwedeng tawagin. Si Sir Chino ata nandito. Si Sir Chino ba may questions or wala na?
Ako talaga natawag. Wala naman kasi late rin ako dumating.
Sir Chino.
Well, yung naabutan ko lang yung microservices So I guess may mga advantages yon. Yun nga lang hindi siya ganun siguro kadali.
Yes.
I-manage or mag-transition sa world na yon, di ba?
Okay. Yes, Sir Chino.
Baka you can expound on that, di ba? Parang if I am an ordinary IT person, di ba? Parang ano ba yung journey ko towards that? Di ba? How do I start small? Di ba?
Okay. Ayan, sige. Thanks, Sir Chino, for the question. So, ayan. First is, ayun nga, from the context of the question ni Sir Chino, if you're a regular IT person daw, how do you start on modernization and into adapting to the microservices approach? So the first thing is you start from before, if you are using virtual machine, you now shift to containerization. Then to be able to help you on the process as well, you also switch from your own setup environment to manage services. For example, if you need databases, instead of managing your own databases, you can now start leveraging managed services as well from cloud service providers. So because of that, if you use managed services, then you will lessen your operational and management overhead. So in a way, you can focus more on developing the new microservices function that you have. Then another thing is you can also start leveraging serverless technologies. So serverless functions or containerization. So that's another thing that you can do. So there, I hope that answers your question, Sir Chino.
Yeah, I guess yung earlier question kasi kanina, pwede bang mixed environment, monolith at micro, di ba? So, ano ba yun? Parang, is that a good first step? Di ba? Parang, from what I also read in other, school of thought, di ba? Parang, if you convert kasi, hindi mo ko-convert lahat, di ba?
Yep.
Kasi kung hindi mo naman kaya rin. Di ba?
Yep.
So, you convert only the key elements of the app that needs to scale. Diba? So, yun yung microservice. So, ganun ba yung tawag dito? Yung dapat rule of thumb kung how to start?
Okay, so on how to start on the app or the adapting to microservices. So of course you will start by trying to replicate the function of your existing monolith environment. So while it is up and running yung monolith, you start to develop your microservices environment. Then as you go further, as you be able to develop services to services, then you start to turn off those features on your existing environment. So then you slowly convert from the monolithic going to the microservices approach. So it's more of a transition, Sir Chino, from monolithic to microservices. So yes, you will start to work on your monolith.
Mhm.
Then you start a little by little, depending on the capability of the team. So let's say you can develop the service for login, then you can start with that. So you will need to assess your application on which is the most critical and which one can you start doing on the microservices approach. And also, it's also important to note to understand the dependencies of your existing application so that when you start to shift to microservices, even though your monolith is still up and running, as long on your process on building the microservices environment, you understand that there are dependencies before that you will need to solve on the microservices environment. So to lessen dependencies or interdependencies. So that's the go or that's part of the process called loosely coupling the services. So for example, one thing to do it on reducing the interdependencies is you you put a queuing system between services. So as compared to before on a monolith, so I'll go back to that. Okay. So for login to communicate with upload photos, so let's say login will say to upload photos, hey, this user has already been logged in. So now what you need to do is you put a layer in between them on the microservices. So you can put a queue system between them so that let's say login is finished, even though upload photos is not ready. Let's say for that time, upload photos is not ready. So the login will just transfer or will just send the information to the queuing system without without the login system knowing that upload photos is not up and running, because here login service or the login function needs the upload photos to respond. So that's also one downside of monolith is the login system will wait for the upload photos to receive the information or for the next service to receive the information that for example that user that user can upload photos since he or she is already logged in. So since they are tightly coupled, so on loosely coupling your services, you can put a queuing system on it. So on the question of Sir Chino earlier, so you can start building one services at a time. Then you start to reduce the interdependencies of your monolith environment. So that's a step. Oops. Sir Chino, was I able to answer your question?
Yeah.
Thanks, Sir Chino.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have question from Mark Perez. What are the challenges with moving towards microservices from monolithic? So there, from my previous answer, medyo nasabi ko na yung ilan sa challenges. So it's identifying interdependencies and trying to resolve that those interdependencies before to now reducing the interdependencies between services or between functions. Then another challenge is also in terms of the capability of the team, you will have to have your team on board as well in the modernization. So your team might need to learn newer technologies, they might need to learn newer practices or other practices that is different from microservices and monolithic environment and other stuff. Okay, so do we have other questions there? So would that be more expensive if you move to monolith to from monolith to microservices? Okay, so the transition period. So the purpose, another advantage of migrating to micro or adopting to a more modern application, which is microservices, is the ability to be more cost optimized, since you can right size every service depending on the requirement. But in the process of transition, on the transition process, so it's possible that during transition you will be experiencing higher costs during transition because you will have your monolith environment and microservice environment up and running at the same time. But after transition, once you convert to once you were able to move to microservices approach, then that's the time where you can leverage the advantages of it, and it will be more cost effective and cost optimized. So in a way, more right sizing and mas agile siya. So, possibility for cheaper environment or cheaper infrastructure. Okay, I hope I was able to answer your question, Mika or Maika.
It's Micah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you'll be able to answer that.
thank you.
So another question. Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
Go ahead. Sure,
So,
here.
do you think it's more manageable to yun, i-manage yung microservices than the monolith one? Because you told us that the monolithic is like yung structure niya is isang buo, parang gano'n, no? Parang nasa isang building ka lang, gano'n. And then for the microservices one, parang naghiwa-hiwalay siya. So, for this one, hindi nga siya magiging, hindi maapektuhan yung ibang services if someone is down or something, di ba? But do you think for the managing those services, do you think microservices is more manageable than the monolithic one?
So I think it's a little subjective for the side of managing the environment. But if you look at it, it's as long as you get used to it, then it's easier to manage them because you will have your team more specialized on that specific setup. For example, you will have every individual, so or every team, you will have separate member that can be expert on that environment or on on the service assigned to them. So in a way, people will think of things or will be reduced in terms of scope. So they will no longer have to think of everything during on the application. Rather, they can focus on their service like that. So it differs from person to person in terms of thinking that monolithic or microservices approach is much more difficult to manage. But with the right practice and right guidance of best practices we see on the industry, well, it can be easier after the process of modernization once you are all set on the new environment.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Wait, another one. Sorry. For the For the microservices, you've mentioned parang magkakaroon ka ng different type of personnel na magma-manage in a certain product or services, right? And then for the monolithic one, I think it's the same, right? but do you think it's more cost effective kung sa microservices ka magpupush forward for those type of parang pag-select na people to manage those services?
Sorry, again, can you please repeat it? Medyo yung sa earlier part.
Okay, sige. 'Di ba, for the monolithic part and then for the microservices part, I think both of them is like kino-consider nila yung tao na magma-manage for those services na including sa monolithic and microservices. But my question is that, do you think it's more cost effective kung ang microservices yung ipupush ng tao to allocate those people than the monolithic one?
If you have already process for modernization, then it's just right to start building your team towards modernization as well, or towards the microservices approach as well, because as we mentioned, ayun, your environment approach, so let's say if your application is on the microservices approach, your organizational structure must be also designed for the microservices. So if you are already on the modernization process, then it's just right to do that approach as well with in terms of your personnel. So that hindi masayang yung efforts mo going into modernization.
Pero mura lang daw pag i-outsource kay Upper. Pero in that regard, Carl or Trish, di ba? How does Upper help in transformational activities? What are the services that you can offer?
Okay. So in terms of services, they can offer search, so we can offer services such as containerization, tapos we can also help you build your capability of the people. Then also we can also help, for example, setting up the different environments of your application, the pipelines. So for doing automation, whenever, for example, naka-microservices approach na whenever you roll out new features, we can help build those pipelines para madali yung pag-feature release to reduce the time to market. So, and also we can also help you to be able to build the right scaling strategies for your services and other stuff pa. So, yeah.
Parang planted yung question, ano? Alam ko rin kaya yun eh.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're very much interested to know more about our products, our services, please reach out to any one of us. So or maybe reply to the email invite that you've received. So and then we'll be glad to set up a scoping session with you via Zoom. Yeah. So any more questions? Maybe we can take the last question. Meron pa ba?
May question ako kay Ma'am Maika. Ma'am, ano yung industry po nila?
Ayun. Mukhang nag-drop siya, Sir Chino.
Nag-drop na?
Parang po. Wala. Oh, yes, sir. Wala na siya sa participants. Or na-drop sa internet connection. So
ayaw na niya.
For sure, nandito ito na si Miss Maika.
Ayan. Baka na-drop lang sa internet, Sir Chino.
Bumalik
Ayan.
na.
Yan. Bumalik na, sir. So,
curious lang, Ma'am Maika. Mika, anong industry po nila?
It's actually IT industry also, consulting partner also.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, I'm a part of project management team then kasi and I
Mm.
yeah,
Kaya pala very conscious kayo sa cost, no?
yeah. And also I would like to ask then yung other approaches to, if the client is asking for this kind of scenarios. Kaya medyo madaming tanong.
Or no worries. I think I'm not sure if you've received our email, but most of our potential partners during the registration, we've asked them for a separate discussion, for a private discussion. So maybe we can help or have a future partnership with you. So maybe just feel free to reach out to any upper representatives or the email that you've received. Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
The last question. Um, think we're good for the day. So thank you everyone for joining the second session of our Cloud Kapihan. So it was a very insightful afternoon. So for the first session, you've learned the ins and outs of a seamless cloud migration by Coach Carl. That was last week's topic. And for this week, we learned about unlocking the benefits of app modernization. And for next week, you'll learn about speeding up and how to automate infrastructure provisioning with AWS Cloud Formation. And we are Upper is actually has a distinction by AWS as their SDP for Cloud Formation, Service Delivery Partner for Cloud Formation. So we specialize talaga with AWS Cloud Formation. So next week will be a more fruitful discussion with Coach Carl, and magkakaroon tayo ng surprise Kahoot, surprise game, and the winner gets to have um, a surprise also. So to be announced yung prize. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, Coach Carl, and thank you, participants. Thank you for joining our question and answer also. So that's it. Coach Carl, last
And
few.
thank you everyone for attending. I hope you learned something today. See you next session.
Thank you.
See you guys next session. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.